Welcome back to D-Dub, and today on the channel I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch and the inevitable what's going to be happening to it in the future. As you guys all know, there's plenty of the rumors going around with the Nintendo Switch Pro and the Mini, and so what I think is going to be happening. So if you look back to 2014, Nintendo was in the rut, obviously, with the Wii U, and there's rumors, word going around now that they kind of rushed it. I mean, if you just look at the system and you look at all the problems with it, everything from the Joy-Con, desyncing, the whole thing with the antenna, the little nubs for where you actually connect the Joy-Cons on, it seems really rushed and not one of the best consoles that Nintendo's actually put out. I mean, they've had issues with like the hinges on the 3DS and not really too much more than that. They didn't really have many hardware or controller issues too much with like the Wii or the Wii U or the GameCube or really even the Nintendo 64, maybe like the analog stick, but that's pretty much it. And that thing was just a tiny little twig. So, I'm sure we all, snapped one or two off in our day. I actually still have a couple laying around that are still in pretty good condition, but so what I think is going to be happening to it is I think that they're just going to phase it out. I think the OG that we all have, I don't think they're going to be selling it in the next year or so. And the reason that I think that is because, there have been people like Spawnwave talking about like the NVIDIA chip. Obviously it was kind of failed for the NVIDIA TV Shield, and they had a bunch laying around, and so obviously they struck up a deal with Nintendo and bought them all up, and the NVIDIA Shield obviously was a flop. So Nintendo and them, they came to an agreement, and they basically bought all the chips from them. So with that kind of being phased out, the rumor and the thought is that, Nintendo's going to be working on this new chip, maybe something custom. Maybe it's something just NVIDIA has made and are just going to be giving to them straight up, or maybe it's Nintendo's idea. Maybe they have a chip. A whole bunch of things could be going on with that. So we're thinking that obviously a Pro or even a Mini could still be, even the Mini could still be as good as the one that we have now. It could be even better. There's a lot of people saying that the Mini, it won't dock, and because of the recent rumors going around that, it's pretty much, it won't be able to dock, that it's going to be missing main features, that it won't have Joy-Cons, it might not have rumble. I think with the Mini that there will maybe be rumble, maybe not, but who's to say that won't, actually be able to pair with the Joy-Con, which I don't see why it wouldn't. It's going to be able to. You're going to be able to sync up Joy-Con to it, and I don't see why not. And as far as the form factor, we don't know if it's going to be just a sole unit, kind of like people are saying, like the Vita, or if it's going to be kind of more like a clamshell. We don't really know, so we're going to have to wait and see on that. But as far as the Pro, we don't know if it's going to be bigger, or if they're going to revise the Joy-Con. Maybe there's going to be better thumbsticks or better buttons. Maybe they're going to reshape them. Maybe they're going to be a little bit thicker. Maybe the tablet's a little bit wider, or they just get rid of the bezel going around the edge. We don't really know, but people are saying that with the Mini, it's going to be this big, and if the dock is this big, you can't put it in and dock it. But I think the current Switch that we have, I think they're just going to phase it out altogether. Because what I think they're going to do is just end up putting out the Mini and the Pro, and I don't know how convoluted that's going to be or how their marketing is going to be. It could get a little bit sloppy, but I think they're going to take the original Switch that we have and just basically do away with that, come up with a new dock. The docks that you can buy now at like Walmart and Target, I think they're going to pull those off the shelf if the Mini is actually really that mini, and if it can dock, which I think it will be able to dock, because if we're talking about it hitting like a $199 price point, it might even be like $179. Like, who's to say that it couldn't actually be $149? I don't see why it couldn't hit that. It might not actually hit that. It might just be $200, but even then, if you add in an $80 dock, that's about the price of the $300 regular Switch. So I think it's possible that they just get rid of the dock altogether, that they come up with a newer one that's smaller, that will still fit a standard and a Pro dock, and that maybe the Pro, it would probably come with a dock. So it might come with the new one, and then it can be used with the regular Switch and the mini. I don't see why that couldn't happen, but what I think they're going to do is just get rid of the original Switch, because there's obviously all these problems with it. Nintendo rushed it. All the problems with the Joy-Con, just everything that's been an issue with it. I think they're going to really think it out and just revise pretty much everything that they've done with it and come up with better Joy-Con, a better screen, maybe not too much better, maybe get rid of the bezel, better Joy-Con. Who knows, we might see like a Joy-Con Pro, we don't really know at this point. But what I really think is that they're just going to phase out the Switch that we all have in favor of something better, like the Pro, that might not be too much better in spec, but just better build quality all around. And I really think that that's what they're going to do. Maybe it's slightly wider, maybe they just get rid of the bezel and it's the same exact size that it is now, and it fits in the regular dock. That won't be a problem across the board. If the mini is too small to fit in a regular dock, then you'll have a chance to buy a new dock that's not the original one that's on the shelves right now, if they phase that out. So if you're talking about building it from the ground up, maybe the tablet isn't as thick, maybe it's thicker, maybe the screen is slightly bigger, maybe they just get rid of the bezels. And so if that's the case for the Pro, maybe that'll still fit in the regular dock that we all have now. And maybe the mini won't fit in that, so maybe they come up with a new dock and they phase the old one, they take that off the shelves, and along with the Pro, they come up with better Joy-Cons. Maybe there's a new Switch Pro controller. They might actually do that and get rid of some of the issues with that, make a better D-pad. Maybe the Joy-Cons, maybe Nintendo finally does make one with a D-pad on it that you could get or buy with it. They're not, obviously in America, they're not going to do like Japan and just sell you the tablet. I keep hearing people say like, oh, it'd be nice if they just sold the tablet. And that way the people that bought in previously and over the past 2 years don't get kind of screwed into having to buy a new console. But it's business. That's not going to happen. They're going to sell it as the whole package, whether it's $300, whether it's $400 for the Pro, whether it's $200 for the mini. I can see the mini just having everything integrated into it. Some people are talking about even having the 2DS or 3DS circle pad, and that could be possible. But if you can buy Joy-Con additionally and pair it to that, then I don't see what the issue would be. It kind of makes sense. So what do you guys think? That is my claim. I'm staking the claim right now that they're going to get rid of the OG Switch, that maybe sometime at E3, maybe slightly after E3. We're thinking both of these might be out sometime by Christmas, or maybe going right into the new year. It could even be spring. It could even be right around this time next year before we actually see the Pro or the mini, or maybe the Pro releases first and then the mini, or vice versa. But that's my claim, and I'm sticking to it. I think they're going to get rid of the OG Switch. I think they're going to come up with the Pro, make it a little bit better, all the components in it. Because right now, obviously, if they had any revisions to the Joy-Con, people wanted to see more new Joy-Con or XL Joy-Con for the regular Switch. And it just seems like at that point, it just gets a little bit too messy with trying to market it and trying to figure out the right message to get to people, that this works with this and this doesn't work with that, and it just ends up being a whole mess. They already dealt with that with the Wii and the Wii U. They've already dealt with that. What's the difference between the 2DS and the regular DS and the 3DS and the new 3DS and the new 2DS, and what's the XL one? What's the regular? Oh, so this one's smaller. Well, does this one, what do I need for this? Does this game work with that? So I don't think that any of that's going to happen. Nintendo's not going to be dumb enough to come up with Nintendo Switch new Pro cartridges for that. The cartridges are more than likely going to be the same across the board, where you can play anything from now in that, anything from now in the mini, any games coming out in the future, play in all of them. You just can't buy the OG Switch that we all have right now. And so that's my claim. I think I'm going to stick by that. I'll die on that hill, I guess you could say. But so what do you guys think? Let me know down below what you think. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think that a mini can come out where it can't pair Joy-Con to it, and then you have this thing where, oh, well, they can't play Mario Party because you're supposed to be able to have Joy-Con with it. And well, if it's a mini and it doesn't have Joy-Con and it doesn't have HD rumble, or it doesn't have the IR sensor, that you can't play Labo with it, you can't play Mario Party with it, those kinds of things. I think that it's just going to be an additional thing that you have to buy. So if you get the mini, you buy your kid a mini, they can play Pokemon on it, they can play Mario Odyssey, they can play whatever, and then it's going to be sort of known or hinted at around the box or whatever, whether they come out with new Joy-Con or not, that you can pair those Joy-Con with it. You can get a grip so that you have a dedicated home controller. You could get the Pro controller as well, so that you can get Joy-Con for it and have them be split for the tabletop mode. Or perhaps that a Pro controller could work with it, old or new, whether they come out with a Pro controller, a new Pro controller, or an old Pro. I think that it's just going to work across the board, no matter what game you have, whether you get Joy-Con from now or before, or going forward if they make new ones, or XL or Jumbo or Ultra or the Super Ultimate Definitive XL new 2DS Pro-Con, Joy-Con, Pro controller. What do you guys think? I think that it's not going to be a big, huge thing that people are making it out to be. I don't think the new one is going to be 4K. I don't think it's really going to compete with a PS5 or a Next box. I just don't think that that's going to happen. But I do think it's going to be like some sort of custom chip that they build. We're going to get a better performance, maybe see better frame rates, but it's obviously got to compete going forward. And as you can see from now, that this is sort of just the stopgap. So the word going around is kind of that the Switch Pro is supposed to be what the Switch originally was, but they kind of rushed it because obviously in 2014, 2015, they saw that the Wii U just wasn't selling. And they saw that, and they probably predicted that, hey, you know, we're not just going to go from 6 million, 7 million units sold to next year selling 10 or 15 million more. They knew that it wasn't going to happen. So it does seem like it's all adding up, and that this has just been a stopgap. So the OG Switch that we got, it was kind of just a fail-safe. Obviously, if it failed, they didn't put too much time into it, too much love into it. You can tell by the UI when you open up the Switch. It's very basic, and people are saying that it's kind of like the NVIDIA Shield. And between your Switch and my Switch, regardless of just the color of the Joy-Con, or if you put a new case on it, or a screen protector, little thumb stickies, or anything like that, the only customization that would be different from your Switch to my Switch is that you can choose the black background and I can choose the white background. So when you really think about it, there's no like customizability to anything that's in the UI. It's very basic in how it runs. But this has just seemed like a stopgap for Nintendo, where they needed something new, even if it only sold 5 or 10 million more units, that could get them the extra couple years while they work with NVIDIA or in whatever they're going to do to come up with a new chip to get them to the next stop. And I think, you know, end of 2019, 2020, around this time next year, you got the talk of new systems coming out, new things coming out. And I think Nintendo thought that they could stretch it to then, even if they were still failing. Obviously, they couldn't have predicted that we're over like 35 million Switches sold worldwide, kind of doing like the rough numbers. And I don't think they could have predicted that. So it seems like they knew that they had a fail with the Wii U. They said to themselves that, hey, we just got to get over this hump. We got to get through the next couple years, and we got to put out what we have here. We can't do anything super extravagant. You know, this was going to be what the Wii U should have been, and they went ahead and did that at whatever cost measures that they could, and they just cut what they could to make it still Nintendo, to make it still good, fusing obviously the market together with the handheld and the home console. And they probably thought the same thing, you know, we're coming up to the end of the 3DS era, like it's time to pack that in. So they obviously segmented those two together. And then they just got to a point where they said, you know, we kind of got to put this out. Like, the Wii U's dying, it's failing, it's dead. The DS has had its run. We can't just linger on and just have a failed Wii U going into 2017, 18, 19. Like, we got to come up with something here. So they obviously rushed the Switch a little bit. And so even though the Switch is what the Wii U should have been, it seems like this Pro model is going to be what the Switch should have really been. And so I'm looking forward to that. I think we're going to be seeing it in the next 6 months. We're going to at least know something about it. We got E3 coming up. They're going to tell us something. We're going to be seeing something. We're going to be hearing more rumblings and rumors and obviously pictures, and maybe even Best Buy or Walmart of Canada can show us what that looks like once it gets in their system. So I'm looking forward to that. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the bell and all the other things, like subscribe and whatever. I will catch you guys in another episode. Peace out.